Hello everyone, welcome back warrior students. Today we are going to take a look again at some lists of items that we are most likely not going to be able to obtain. Like we take a look at some wish and some BIS lists that I did for Sunwell, or two that is. For an example, this is the list that I did for Black Temple and Hyjal, and this is what my character is using right now. So yeah, there's that. You can't really get all the things on this list anyways, most likely. But yeah, so let's start with the low budget list. If you haven't seen my last video on wish or BIS lists, so the way I approach those kind of lists is that I think about things that I want my character to bring on the table or to be able to do, to achieve, and then I'm trying to build a set around those attributes. This doesn't necessarily mean for me that I'm building a list that deals the most damage in like a simulated boss fight. This could mean that I want to have a set that deals the most damage in burst, or that I want to have a set that is kind of durable, like have a lot of health, or anything like this. Could be anything really. This time again I will first explain to you what was important for me on my wish list, or what things I like to have. First of all, obviously you want to be as close as possible to 6% hit, because if you have a boomkin, this means that you are hit capped, and most of you guys should have. Then we have crit. I want to have a healthy amount of crit, not too low, not too high. So I think 32% is okay. I would like to go for like 33 in Berserker stance, but I couldn't really get that low. So here we are at 32 in Battle stance. Then we have Haste Rating on 12%. This is very important for me, and I'm going to explain why. 12% haste enables me one thing that I can do, like one option that I have, and this is to drop 2 points out of Blood Frenzy to get 5 points into Flurry, to then get on an attack speed with using Apollyon the Soul Render, which is exactly 2.5 seconds. So exactly 2.5 seconds attack speed, and 2.5 seconds is a sweet spot for arms. Now if you haven't seen my video on this sweet spot, it will be linked right now. You can look. And I wanted to try that out since I discovered it, and therefore I want to go for 12% haste. Now obviously I would not just don't use Blood Frenzy and go into the raid, because this is kind of griefing. I would first talk to my warrior mates, and maybe one of them wants to play arms for me for 1 or 2 IDs, so I can try this out. Then we have the armor penetration value that is on 1.3k. Now why is 1.3k important to me? Because on 1.3k armor penetration you are set to fight high armor bosses and low armor bosses with only using one weapon with one enchant. Because your executioner's enchant will be more effective than Mongoose on low armor bosses if you have like 1.3k armor penetration, and it obviously will be more effective on high armor bosses as well. So this is why 1.3k is a nice value to have if you only have one weapon available to you with one enchant. And then we have the expertise. I have 17 expertise. I simply use 17 expertise because it's easy to get, because I only need to use one trinket and the belt, and I'm almost capped. And I really don't like to see dodges on my screen. I like to see numbers and crits. And if you get a dodge, you cannot get a Wind Fury or a Sword Spec proc on that dodge or following this dodge. And therefore, I like to try out how a lot of expertise will work out for me in this phase of the game. Now, in terms of trinkets, the best simming trinkets, like the trinkets that sim the best, would be the combination of Blanket Naru Silver and Dragonspine Trophy. But they are both proc trinkets, and I have experience with proc trinkets. I have made some experience with proc trinkets because I used Madness of the Betrayer and Dragonspine Trophy a lot in raids, and my damage dropped quite a bit because of that, because they most likely are not going to be not going to be active at the same time, and sometimes they are not even active at burst. And therefore what simulation tells you about proc trinkets is a lot of the time not really the case. And this is a little bit of a problem, and this is why I'm using Berserker's Call and Shard of the Condemned. But if I don't want to do that, I have my Dragonspine Trophy ready in my bags, I have Tsunami Talisman ready in my bags, and I have Madness of the Betrayer ready to swap out if I feel like it. Alright, so that's it for the low budget BIS list and what values were important for me. Alright, let's take a look at the list of items that dealt the most damage per second in a simulated boss encounter that was 2 minutes long, using recklessness and having all buffs and goodies that you want to have. Now I have a couple of problems with this list, and the first problem and the biggest problem for me is that I need to be a jewel crafter to use this necklace. And right now I'm not a jewel crafter, so I would need to drop my blacksmithing to get jewel crafting, and in Wars of the Lich King I want to be blacksmith again. And I really don't enjoy leveling professions because it's rather time consuming or expensive, or in some cases even both. And therefore, this isn't really an option for me. So this item I would never be able to go for. The next problem that is quite obvious is that it uses way more items that are high contested than the low budget list. So you're not very likely to get all those items in the first place. Now the next problem that we already talked about is this set uses 2 proc trinkets. So I don't like to go for 2 proc trinkets. 1 use and 1 proc is what I like to go for. And then the next problem that we have is that we have a lot of armor penetration. So we have 1578, and this means that Executioner is our best weapon enchant for high armored bosses, and Mongoose would be the best enchant for low armored bosses. So this means that we would need 2 Apollyon the Soul Render with different enchants, or we would need to change our enchant before every encounter almost, or the other option that we would have is to drop armor penetration if we know that we fight against the low armor boss. But this is extremely tedious because you would need to swap your gear all the time while raiding, or you would need to have 2 of these two-handed weapons. Then the next problem that is really minor is that we use 1 leather piece more, and we use 1 mail instead of 1 plate in our chest piece. So we do have a little bit less armor, and we do have a little bit less health. And this is, sometimes this makes a difference. And in the situation when it does, you are going to be very, very sad. Or very, very happy. Depend on which side of the event you are. Now obviously for most of those items that you can see in these lists, there are options that you can go for. For example, Leggings of Divine Retribution you can use instead of the Leggings of Immortal Knight. If you think that this one is too highly contested, you can go for the leatherworking gloves and things like this. For me, like I said, it's important to be around 1.3k armor penetration, to have the option to gear for 12% haste, and to have 6% hit, and to be able to have a good unused trinket in combination with a nice proc trinket. Now, with the help of this website and with your brain, I'm sure you're able to build a list yourself, or again, you could just copy mine. The links for those lists are in the video description, as well as the link to the simulation website. And I think that's it for this video. Until the next one, stay tuned and take care.